on YouTube now. All right. And the last thing is I'm trying to set up my VC face. So give me 1 second to do that. It's trying to load. Okay, so while that's loading, I'm gonna organize my thoughts. Live on YouTube? Oh, hell yeah. Not in channels where I am mod, they want to give me VIP as well. I see. I mean, that makes sense. There's a couple channels that I'm not VIP in, where I'm a mod. I don't know why they can't let you be both. Okay, so my VTuber is still loading. Gonna try to make that work. Yeah, how's your day going, ADC Carry? You finish your homework? All right, so we're looking at my coding screen right now, and I actually was able to release, well, to make a pull request for a mod for something called Code Server. And basically Code Server is this thing right here. This is Code Server. And in Code Server, it's, you know, it's like a self-hosted Visual Studio Code, VS Code. And I think ADC Carry, I think you use Code Server or like a variant of it for your homework assignments. So it's pretty useful, popular mod, or pretty useful, popular project. And they have a bunch of self-hosted versions, which is what I'm using here. And for the self-hosted version, they have a bunch of different mods. So I'm gonna go look at the mods real quick. So here's the project. It's called Docker Mods from Linux Server. And you know, they have like 1,000 stars and a bunch of people have forked it. And the official list is right here. So I'm just gonna check them out real quick. I'm also gonna load Twitch. So I can read chat. Coding assignments on Sunday was just encryption and decryption. I use a variation of it. I think school pays for it. Yeah, exactly. So linuxserver.io has all these like self-hosted projects. They look just like this. And let's see where the image is. And so there are all sorts of stuff. They have like Blender, they have web browsers like Brave, they got Chrome, and they have Code Server. So in Code Server, this is what I'm using. And here, like, these are like the instructions to get it working in Docker. And they also have a bunch of mods. Actually, Code Server has the most mods. So either OpenVS Code Server, which has 28, or Code Server, which has 29. And so I want to be in this list of 29 mods. And actually, I have more ideas for different mods. And I use a couple. So I use ZSH, for example. So the ZSH mod adds a different shell called ZSH. Yo, Mir, what's up? And it adds, oh my ZSH. Mir, how are your games going? Are you ranking? So I use this when I code. I prefer ZSH as a shell. And oh my ZSH has all these really nice, you know, all these nice like conveniences like autocomplete. They have different plugins. It comes with a theme. So I like using Oh My ZSH a lot, especially for the autocomplete stuff. And in order to use it inside of VS Code Server, you can use this mod. So this was the mod that I based it off of, where I made my own mod. We can pull up the pull request here, create mod to include BAT in Code Server. So this is my mod. Hopefully they accept it, but I basically made this write-up. I explained what my code does. I got some comments on it. And then now we're at the stage where, well, I've made all the changes. Can you make a mod for OBS Chasm Docker to include ATM vertical streaming. Thank you very much. Exactly. So I would like to make mods like that, right? So that's like my next one of the next things I want to do is make like our own OBS Docker, right? And I'm getting there actually, and I think I can make it work out of the box. So I was able to make an OBS mod that it did a couple things, but the nice thing that it did was let's see. The OBS thing, it did a couple of things well. But it didn't include like browser source, which we need for, what do we need browser source for? We need it for like Twitch alerts and things like that. My day just started. Mirror, good morning, good morning. Wait, it is not morning for you, aren't you? Isn't it 7 p.m. for you? Hello there, good sir. Yo, Yato, what's up? Make more mods. Hi, Pato. Linux, exactly. That's what we're working on right now. We're working on Linux. So I made this nice little mod here to include Bat. So let me tell you about Bat real quick. Let's see. Let me go find Bat. Here we go. So I was actually able to publish it here onto Docker, onto the Docker Hub. And this mod adds Bat. So what is Bat? Bat is a cat clone with syntax highlighting and Git integration, and actually is a very popular project. I should start it. It has 55,000 stars, so it's super popular. And what it does is syntax highlighting. It has integration with Git. It has these nice things like showing non-printable characters. So here's my development environment. Since this is a README, we can open up the preview right there. So that's just my README. But basically I was able to include Bat. So Bat looks like this. So it just takes standard in. So right now it's just waiting for input. So if I typed in input and I pushed enter, that's what it would show. And it just shows it like in a really nice way. Okay. So if you were to input a file, for example, then it opens up the file like that. Right. And it's just like a cleaner, nicer cat. So this is Bat. You see how it has highlighting, it has line numbers, it has the nice little lines. So if you just use normal cat, that's how it looks. Right. And it's a lot harder for your eyes to track what's going on and read everything. But with Bat, it's actually a lot nicer. So that's why I wanted Bat, because I end up using the command line a lot, especially when I'm coding. Even though I could go up here and I could preview it and I could do all sorts of stuff, sometimes you're just navigating through terminal and you need to use your utilities. I thought about Linux, but like so many things to change. There are a lot of things to change, so I basically use everything. I have Mac, I use Linux, and I use Windows. So basically, each one is a tool, and I just figure out like what tool is fitting the case. But when I do coding, I mostly do it in Mac. When I'm typing in Japanese, it's in Mac. But Linux is for server work, and all of our servers run Linux. Yo, 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 Ragos, hello. I am here for the rage bait. How are we today? That rage bait is going to keep going. It's not going to stop. So I'm having trouble with my VTuber right now, so we're just going to have the rage bait. For some reason, my VTuber is not loading. We're just going to keep the rage bait. Let me double check my settings real quick for why it's not loading. Yeah, I mean, it should load. I do not see why it wouldn't load. Okay. me give it one more try. No, it's not loading. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going to have a VTuber today. I'll have to debug that later. And let's just look at the code. So I have bat here. I also did a few extra things. So I added bat extras and rip grep. So rip grep is just a way to like process files. So here's an example. Let's say that I output this README and I'm looking for all instances, any line that says the word mod in it. So you can pipe in the output of cat and you pipe it in to grep, and you give grep an argument, and the argument is the word mod. And so it's going to highlight every instance of mod here. All right, you see all the mods, they're all highlighted, and it's going to show only the lines that include mod. So that's grep. Now you could add context. So C is like lines of context. So now it's going to include all the lines to before and to after every time you see mod. But because mod's everywhere, it basically outputs the whole thing. Let's find something that's not everywhere, like the word GitHub. So now it's actually going to output a lot less because there's only a couple versions or lines that say GitHub. So that's how you use grep. So I'm going to take away the context and it just has 2 lines, right? Because that's what says GitHub. Now, if we do bat and we grep, it's going to have the same output because we're seeing the output of grep. We are piping bat, whatever bat outputs, to the input of grep. And so this is what grep shows. But there's a program called ripgrep, and it goes, I think it goes RG. So instead of saying grep, if we say RG, then it still looks the same, but it's a different program that's processing it. And ripgrep has a couple of things that make it faster. I mean, that's what rip generally stands for. It basically means like it's quick. And so there's actually a bunch of utilities. So I have bat, and I have bat diff, bat grep, bat man, etc. So we're going to go bat grep. Okay. And bat grep needs a pattern. So let's look for GitHub again, and let's give it the output of readme. Sorry, readme. And so bat grep, just like bat, actually has a nicer output, right? So it gives us the lines, it gives us some context already without us asking for it. It gives us the line numbers. So as you can see here earlier, when you're using just normal grep or even rip grep, there's no line number, right? There's an option for it, I believe, but out of the box, it just shows you the lines that match. So you don't know that there's a gap between these 2 lines. Yo, hydrate. Oh yeah, you're right. So I have cocoa water, or actually I have brewed cocoa. So I'm going to drink that. Thank you, Ragos. Yeah, how are we today? We are just coding. I'm going to contribute to open source. And this, I'm just showing my contribution, which is adding bat as a mod for code server. So this program we're using right here, this web page, is a code server, and it basically lets you edit code. You have a terminal, you can like look at your code and preview it. And I'm adding a mod that will include this utility bat, and because bat is a lot more useful. So that's what I'm showing. And this is bat grep is from extras. It's like an extra thing that uses bat. And again, it just outputs it a lot nicer, and you get the line numbers. So the last thing I did in my mod was include aliases for bash and CSH. So when you install it, and we saw it earlier, so I'm going to type in bat, I'm going to tab. When you tab, it gives you autocomplete options. So these are things that match bat. And one is batcat. So batcat is actually the program that gets installed, and then I give it an alias of bat. So you can type in which bat, and it will say, look, it's just alias to batcat. And then when you type in which batcat, that's actually a file in a folder. Yo, Necron, your league queue pop, by the way. Oh my gosh, you guys, my league queue is going to be popping all day. Rat, yo Rat, what's up? How you doing? We're just coding here. I really want to do more coding because I want ADC carry to get better at coding. That is my goal. Mirror, I want Mirror to get better at coding too. You guys, I want you guys to learn these little tricks. Hi Watson, hi Ragos. Doing all right, just hanging out. That's good to hear, Necron. So I'm gonna make this a short stream because I'm just explaining what I made for my mod. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make another mod. So now that I figured out how to make one mod, I'm gonna make more. And Bat is its own mod. When you want to include my mod, you actually use this kind of format. And then when you want multiple mods, you can just add them and you separate them with a pipe. So what I want to be able to do is have another mod and then people can like put them together. And so my other mod, let's go look at the list. Let's go check out the list. Where are you? Where are you? Over here? No. Okay, we're gonna go look at our list. So it's called Linux Server Docker Mods. Let's grab our list of Docker mods. Okay, here's our list. So in this list, you have things like Java, Golang, which is a programming language from Google, NVM, which is Node Version Manager. It basically lets you install different versions of Node, which is its own like interpreter for JavaScript. And then you have PHP, which is a language. You have Python, which is a language. You have R and Rust. These are all languages. So one language here is missing that actually would be very nice to have, and there's not really an easy way to use it. So it's right here in the R's. It's called Ruby. And Pado and I use Ruby all the time. Now, Ruby would be nice to include. I think some people just install it as a package, but there's a lot of reasons you don't want to do that. And it's hinted at here. You have PHP and you have PHP 8. You have PHP CLI. You have Java 11. You have, let's look, Python 3. Python 3 Poetry. So one reason is there are different versions. And so you actually might need a special version of Ruby, like Ruby 2 or Ruby 3 or 3.5. And the best way to manage those versions is a thing called a version manager. And the one I like to use is called RBENV. So this is how you manage your Ruby environment. And when you install RBENV, you can try to install it. Let's look. You can try to install it like this, but it's going to give you a big old warning. Okay? The version of RBENV that is packaged is out of date, right? In order to install the latest, you have to do it like this. So let's go learn about a little bit about these mods. So the mods have a template. I'm gonna go find it real quick. And this template, oh, actually, let's read the original README. There's a few types of mods. And the first one is you can have a simple mod where you just have scripts. We don't want to use this because we need more than scripts. Let's go back here. Let's go look here. This is how you install RBENV. You're going to clone. You're going to set up your shell. You're going to restart your shell. You have to update bash and ZSH with some autocomplete stuff. So there's actually a whole bunch of steps you need to do, and it's not a script. Okay, you can't just copy a file and say, well, there, I'm done. Because you actually have to use Git. You need to be able to run this script here, and you have to do stuff with your shell. So this doesn't cut it. Now, there's also, let's look. There's also this thing called the V3 mod. This is actually what we're going to be using, a V3 mod. And in a V3 mod, it has this like kind of complicated hierarchy, and it basically encodes all of the hooks and all of the steps inside of the folder structure and the file structure, and it explains what each file does, and you kind of understand when each file runs because it kind of tells you. It tells you that there's an end. It tells you there's an install step. It tells you also that there is a service and that there is your actual mod. Tells our initializing logic, right? This is the initializing of your mod. So I'll explain this, but let me read chat real quick. LMAO ADC getting called out. I think there's coding on my comprehensive exam. Me when I can't code. Yeah, RBENV. So these run in a certain order, and actually the main thing that controls everything here is inside of user. And you're basically saying like, look, I have this and I have that, so make sure that you run them. And then it tries to run them according to its order, and it tries to make sure that it refers to them from here. So each one also has a dependency. So it says basically, hey, run my thing before you run your thing. And so, for example, for end, you can run your own mod file here. This stuff, you can run it because you say my end depends on this running first. Install step happens before end, obviously. And then service happens at the end. It happens after it's over. And a service basically means, look, you're going to initialize services, and these services are always going to be running. That's why it contains a string called long run. It basically runs in the background or as a persistent service. And after your mod exists, it will always run. So we don't need service for what we're doing. But as an example, if you had a web server, then you would set up your web server, you would copy all your HTML files into it, and then here you would configure it. And then after you configure it, you would set up the service. And that means whenever the operating system is running, it runs your program. We don't need a service. So we're going to use this kind of format. And as you see here, you're allowed to do things like install. It has a nice little mod repo packages to install list. And what's nice about this is when you're running the mods, you have to chain them, right? And if you have multiple mods, imagine having to install and then install and then install. There's always like time before and after installations. And so it actually, when you chain them serially, it takes a long time. So to prevent that, they just put them all in one big list and then they run them all at once. That actually saves a lot of time. So when we install, we're not going to run, sudo apt install. I'll show you what happens. When we install packages, we're not going to just run this sudo apt install rbenv, because that would just run it serially. We're going to group all the mods, packages together in this list, and then the package runner will know what to do with it. So, and this just explains the additional steps after the package has been installed. So back to rbnv, we do have additional steps, and those steps include initializing, and those steps include updating your CSH. So there's also this Docker mod complex. We're not going to do this, but this is basically a Docker file, and you do everything in the Docker file, but this is not necessary for what we want. So that's the whole thing. And let's go back to the template, and the template actually has everything we need. It has all of these things: the add package, the install, the end, and the contents. So let's get coding. I'm going to branch off of my existing one, and I'm going to make a new branch, and I'm going to call it code server RBENV, and I'm going to call it SW for some Watson. So we've just made my some Watson branch because I'm going to have two. I had BAT, but I also had BAT SW. I'm going to have RBENV and RBENV SW. And the reason is when you deploy it to GitHub, you use a workflow. And this file here, buildimage.yaml, is the workflow. And inside this workflow, it has some settings. And when you push it for an official, when you try to make a pull request to make it an official mod for Linux server, you have to push it to their services. But obviously, I don't control that. I'm requesting for them to merge my, stuff in. And so in order to make that request, I can't test it. So I need to have a test branch that's at some Watson's test branch. And then I'm going to have a normal branch. And my normal branch will be a pull request to push it to their official repositories. And they will be the ones who merge that in and deploy that to their official repositories. So that's my goal. I think it won't be long. But hopefully they'll review my pull request and I'll have one in the official repository soon. So let's go back to yo, it's Chonkosaurus. Thank you for the stretch. I do need a stretch. Okay, give me a second to stretch. So this is their official repository and I have my pull request here. So once they approve this, it will actually be published. And once it gets published, it's going to go to their official Linux server Docker mods. Sam Watson, a contributor to open source. So kind. Oh, thank you, Puddle. I'm trying to be kind, but I also need it. And it's also convenient for me. Like once it's, if it's set up, it will be a plus for us to get it from the official source instead of my own. Okay. So we are making some Watson's version. So this is where I'm going to look around. This is my repository, so Watson. And I have a couple branches. So I had the ZSH one because I was looking at that as an example. I have the template for an example. And so I have some Watsons and I have the official. So let's look at the some Watson branch. And in here, I have a bunch of commits. And let's check out my version. So to make it my version, I basically replace Linux server with some Watson. That's what it looks like. And I make sure that the mod name and base image match. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We'll start here. Some Watson. Okay, these have been modified. So I'm going to indicate that here that I'm not supposed to modify them in the official, but I have modified them here. It's going to be called code server, and instead of bat, RBENV, and this time it's SW for some Watson. And that's how I need to edit the workflow state or the workflow. And this workflow, everything else, it automatically does. One of the things it uses are secrets. I set this up in GitHub where I have my Docker user and Docker password. So those secrets go to Docker Hub, and that's how I'm able to publish my image in the official repository. And I think mostly bots downloaded it, or like test runners, things like that, but I got a couple hundred downloads already for my last mod. So we have multi-arc false. So multi-arc has to do with whether it's for AMD 64, which is like Intel and AMD CPUs, x86, or if it's for ARM 64. And in my case, they're both the same. Like I don't need anything special, so this is false. But if you needed something special because it wouldn't run on both systems, then you would set this to true and you would have a bunch of if statements everywhere running different code depending on the system. But in my case, we're doing pretty universal stuff. Secrets. Wow, you published that last night already? A few hundred? So fast. Yeah, Coder's gonna code. Yeah, I think a lot of people have things set up to automatically download things and run them and test them and things like that. So that's my guess. I'd be surprised if a ton of people are interested in BAT, but they might be interested in why don't I try every mod and see how it works. Okay, so we have the build image done. The next thing I'm going to update here is my README. So it's going to be for RBENV. This mod adds RBENV. And let's go grab that real quick. Here's the link. So this is the RBENV repository to code server to be installed and updated during container. And what is RBENV? It is, so, you know, let's see, a version manager tool. There we go. So I'm just going to copy that. And code server if, so this is the Sum Watson version, so I have to add SW at the end of it. If adding multiple, make them an array. Again, it's going to be Sum Watson, and it's going to be RBENV SW. All right, I don't have bad extras in grep, but I rip grep, sorry, but I will have updates to your profile, so I'm going to mention that here. Let's see. Nope. Where are we? So we're cloning it. We're initializing it. Oh, we can use this installer. Let's look at the installer. So this installer might be a little easier. We're just going to run that. And then... Oh, okay. So it's for casual use on your machine. But if you're automating it, which we are, we want to avoid this script. Because we are using a container. So some environments, such as container images, should not be switching. So if you're installing there, you're likely doing something wrong. Okay, so, oh, but we're not... We do want multiple Ruby versions, potentially, because we're using this as our coding environment, not as a... not just as a container image, but it's actually like our personalized coding environment. So I understand what they're saying here, but we don't fit in that. But still, I think it's telling us that you don't want to use the script when it's automated, which is fine. We're going to do it this way. All right, so we need get, we need to initialize it, and then we need shell completions. So this is what I want to refer to. So shell completions. This mod includes adding shell completions. And here we're going to make a link for RBENV and Ruby in, oh, it's just RBENV, for RBENV in Bash and ZSH. So that's my explanation, and then people can go look what those do. So I'm going to go back to the shell completions, and because you're pushing tab, so the script. So if it's bash, it will be included when I run init. That's fine. But if it's ZSH, we need to do this thing, and by editing the file. So fish. Okay, fish already has it built in, so we have to do nothing for fish. So I'm going to write this. I'm going to copy this. And with the project that needs to be added before it can be discovered. So we will update ZSHRC. And the way that you update it is like this. Okay. So I'm just gonna, yep, I think that's good. So I'm just gonna include that there so that it's clear that this happens. So the mod will automatically detect and update the file. Okay, so this is a special file. It's the ZSH profile, which basically runs every time you open the shell up. Hayakuta. Prado, what's that mean? Well. Hey, yo, what's up, Yogi? I am coding right now. I'm also missing all my cues, sadly. Nihongo o benkyota? You're asking me, did I study Japanese? And the answer is, I did not yet. I will be studying Japanese tonight. Um, so I've updated my README. Now we get to do a couple of interesting things. So here's another mod that I included. This mod someone else wrote, but it's for Zoxide. So Zoxide is a smarter CD command, all right? And I've been using it lately. So instead of saying CD into a path, I just type in Z and I type in like the last part of the path. And because it, like if you do it often, it will figure out, well, they always go to this directory. And it just becomes very convenient. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to say Z workflows. Let's see if it, no. So Z, I need to do it at least once. Z root, etc. Okay. Let's see what's in that folder first before I go into it. Okay, that's perfect. So I'm going to Z this. So this is called, let's go back to Docker mods. So when I do Z Docker mods, I end up here, which is where I want to be. If I Z s6rc.d, then I end up here. So it basically is a shortcut. It remembers where I've been before. All right. So I'm in the folder I want to be in. And again, I can like edit it here. It gets kind of messy editing it here, but here I could kind of see everything. And what I want to change is where it says code server bat, right? So I'm going to move these folders. So all the folders are going to be renamed to, we'll just start with add package. Mod code server RBENV add package. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Mod code server RBENV, and this is called install. And let's check it. Mods end and mods package install. Those are fine, but I needed to change 2 folders. So that's what I did there. And inside of each folder, we could start with add package. There's these files. And oh, these files are fine actually. But we need to make sure, one, that you can run. So this X here indicates that you can execute it. So it has the correct permissions to run it. And the second thing is the dependencies. So we're going to go look at the dependencies. So this is init mods. That's fine. This is package install. That's fine. But end has a dependency on bat install. So instead we're going to rename this. So I'll just do it here. RBE env install. And then this one has init mods package install has a dependency. So I'm going to say RBENV. It says it depends on add package, so it has to be RBENV add package. So those 2 files, and these are just blank files, but it basically goes through all the files, and that's how it knows what to do. Now here I got to change those files as well. You know what? I'll just change it here. I'm already here. Server RBENV add package, and then server RBENV install. So I've changed the names. So let's go back to Docker mods, and we're going to do a git diff. So here's git diff. It's kind of interesting. You see there's some color syntax highlighting, color coding, things like that. Yo Ragos, thank you for the stretch. I'm literally gonna stretch. I'm doing it. It feels quite good actually. And I'm also gonna hydrate. Give me a second. All right. So we can see our changes here, but remember I have this bat diff. So I'm gonna try that. And wow, it's formatted cooler. But also it has line numbers and it just more clearly delineates the changes. So we can open, we only need this much space. pretty good. Okay, so we have the workflow, the GitHub workflow has been updated, and then our README has been updated. That's fine. Status. So those two files have been modified. You see that? But we've also deleted and added files. So these aren't actually deleted. They're all here. They've been renamed. So if we add everything to the Git stage, then we can refresh it, and it figured out, oh, these files have been renamed. Okay. Now we can try the bat diff again. And because I've added it to the stage, it's all good. There's no diff between changes to be committed and what we're working with. I like the changes here, so we can already commit this. And what we're gonna say, oh no, we shouldn't, no, we shouldn't commit it yet. But I do like the changes so far. The reason we can't commit it yet is because the run. So we have these are the two main things, run and run, okay? In the first run, we're adding the packages. So do we need ripgrep? Probably not. Do we need bat? Probably not. Do we need get? Yes, we do. So we're gonna get rid of those guys. But we do need get. And now let's go to RBENV and let's just see, are there prerequisites? Prerequisites. No, there are no prerequisites. So we don't need to install anything. I believe it learns how to do that on its own. Yeah. I might find out that we need something later, but it looks like it doesn't tell me. Yeah, it brings everything it needs. Okay. But we do need Git. Git should be there, but let's say it wasn't there, then we would install it. Just saying, this is fairly interesting. No way, Ragos. This is interesting to you? I mean, I like it. I hope that it's interesting to you. What I'm trying to show is sort of like the bird's eye view of coding. It's not all typing code, right? But it's actually like organizing your thoughts and understanding where things go and what order things are run in. That's a lot of software engineering, and that's where we are right now. I do want to show something real quick. I think this is kind of cool. So here's my repo called Docker mods, and those were all my changes. But now I've clicked actions, and my actions are workflows. So this is actually the first time I've used a workflow, and so it comes from here, GitHub workflows build image, right? This is the workflow. It came from the template, so the guys at Linux Server wrote this, but it basically ran all of my workflows every time I tried to test it. And you can see here, a lot of them failed because this is me. I'm trying, right? Try, make sure. And then like it broke. And then finally I'm getting it to start working, and then it breaks again. This is me trying to install bad extras. And then it starts working, and then from there on, I like figure it out, and it's like I'm taking off from here. And what's cool in a workflow is it actually runs it. Let's go look at one that has it. Yep. This one runs it on GitHub servers. It took about 47 seconds. And then after it ran it, it published it to Docker Hub. So that's really cool. And when it runs it, I just want to show you this because I thought this was pretty cool. It actually shows you the output of the computer running the code. So this is on their servers, GitHub servers. They run the code for you, and it shows you the output. And when it happens live, you see it happening. It's pretty cool to watch like it come out. It's using QEMU, which is a virtual, like an emulator. It's like a virtual machine. So it's running it in a virtual machine, and it sets one up from scratch, runs your scripts, runs the Docker stuff, and within 47 seconds. So I thought that was pretty cool, and gives you the results. So that's a GitHub workflow. I watch science documentaries. It seems like a lot of trials and errors, yes. There's a lot of trials and errors in software engineering. right? Like this isn't necessarily code. This is engineering, because what we're looking at is not a programming language. This is called a markup language, or basically a way of organizing data. And the way you organize the data determines how the code runs. So I think that's pretty cool. So we call this like DevOps, like developer operations. There's other names for it too. And it goes hand in hand with coding, programming, computer science, software engineering. They all go hand in hand. All right, so now we're going to get here. This is the install script. Here in the install script, I'm running some code, and this is bash. How do you know it's bash? Right here. It's called a shebang. But when you have a hashtag exclamation point shebang, then you're telling the operating system what to run when you execute this file. And this file is just called run, but it says run this with bash. That's what this says. So we're running this with bash, and bash looks like this. It's its own like scripting language, and it has an if statement, and it's basically saying, look, if this command doesn't, if this command doesn't work, that's what this does, negates it. Command dash v zsh basically tries to, let's run it. Let's see what command does. Command. I think it tries to find it. So one way we can do this is Google. So Linux command bash meeting. So it's called command dash v. I use which a lot, but command dash v provides an output indicating the type of command and its location. So when you say command dash v ls, it will tell you where ls exists. And if this fails, so let's make up a command, command dash v ragos. If it fails, nothing's output, right? There's no ragos command, but there is a zsh command, so you get output. So that's what this says. It says, look, do I have an output? If I don't have an output, we're going to skip it. Okay. But if I do have an output, then we're going to run the code here, this code right here. Okay. And right here, we're saying, does this file zshrc exist? If it exists, then we are going to use grep. And remember, we used grep earlier. So grep, let's do bat grep, right? Grep looks for, and I'm going to say, again, we're going to grep for mod, and we're going to look for the README and pipe it through. So in this README, it's looking for the word mod. These are all the lines that found mod. Shabang, hey yo, oh baby, how she moves. I go crazy cause she looks like a flower but stings like a bee, like every girl in history. Oh, Pato. Shabang. So this line here is saying, have we found this line of code inside this file? So I'm just gonna run it. Let's go run it. And the answer is, so dash q, look, we're going to do it without dash q. It's going to have my output. Okay. So what's dash q do? Dash q says quiet, right? So when it's quiet and we look for it, let's go back. When it's quiet and we look for it, it looks like that. Okay. But let's make a line that won't be found. This line won't be found, ASDF. So, oh. It has an exit code. Okay. So let's figure that out real quick. Bash output exit code. how to output the exit code. You have to echo it. Okay, let's try that. Echo $. No? Oh, echo $? There we go. So the output is 0. If we do this, it's 1. If we do this one, it's 0. So basically, even though it's quiet, so you don't see anything, even though it looks like it's ran both times, it has an exit code, and the exit code is right here, 0 or 1. So based on the exit code, it will then run this if statement. And based on the exit code, it will say, look, it doesn't exist, so let's add it, or it does exist, let's skip it. Okay, and so right now we're not going to do aliases, we're going to do something else. That's not the melody. I'm so sorry, Puddle, I can't sing. Oh, is Puddle still silver? In Flex, I mean. Puddle. What are you in Flex? Did you go down to bronze or what? I hope that you're still in silver. Grr. This is a grr moment. All right, so what are we gonna do, right? What do we want to do? Well, the first thing is we're gonna clone. So let's do that. Let's do the first thing first. And I'm gonna keep this here because we are gonna update the ZSHRC file. So first thing is we're gonna clone. That's good. And I actually do a clone down here for bad extras, so that's fine. Oh, and then we need to run it multiple times. So let's grab this. We're gonna copy this. We're gonna run it multiple times. We're gonna assume that sometimes it's already there. So what are we looking for? RBENV. And if it's already there, RBENV already cloned, so we're skipping it. Otherwise, we're going to clone the RBENV repo, and the way we do that is with this line here. Perfect. So that came from my other code, but basically this allows it to be idempotent. Idempotent means you can run it multiple times and still expect the right result. But if you kept running git clone over and over, even though it's already there, you're going to get some weird error messages. So this allows us to do it idempotently. Okay, so the first thing that we do is clone it. All right, now we're going to set up our shell to load it. So how does RBNV work? It's a helper command. It hooks into the shell, and it helps you have two modes. One is made for humans, so you ask it questions and it does stuff. The other one is made for machines. So we're going to do the machine version. You may add this line manually if you want to avoid as part of the setup. Here's what it does. It adds to the path. It prepends a directory of shims. It installs the completion. It regenerates and it installs the dispatcher. So that's all good. And we do want to do it, but we're going to do it this way with the hyphen. So the first thing is we're running init, but we're going to add that hyphen. So this is me like just reading documentation. I think that's super important. Now that we've initialized it with the hyphen, let's go back. It's right here. Then we have to restart. We don't need to restart because we're running it in a script, but we also need to do this thing for ZSH. Remember this? We're going to add this in. So we initialize it. Needs the hyphen because it's being run in the scripts. Okay. And we need ZSH stuff. We don't need bash stuff. So this is bash stuff. We don't need that because the script does it by itself. And then we don't need this code. We already used it. And we don't need... Oh, we may need... Do we need permissions? I don't think we need permissions. And we don't need to do this. This is stuff specific to bat. Yeah, that's specific. Do we need permissions? We'll find out. Okay. If we need permissions, I'll go grab this code from my stuff later. My other commits later. So if we're in ZSH, we're going, and it's not installed, we're going to skip the shell completions setup. Okay. But if it does exist, we're going to look for one of the lines. Okay. We're not going to look for all the lines, just one of them. And here we're going to echo in one line at a time. So the line we're going to look for, let's just look for this one because that's the first one. So we're looking for F path, RB&V completions. If that line does not exist, then, or sorry, if this line, yeah, because we have the negation right here. If this line does not exist, we're going to add it. So we're going to add RB&V shell completions. Oh, we're going to add shell completions. Completions to ZSH for RB&V. And we don't need this comment. The comment's not necessary. But we do need that line. And then we're going to redirect it to... This is a redirect. So we're redirecting the output of this as an input for this. So I showed you the pipes earlier. These are the arrows. And what this does is it just writes that line into here at the end of the file. I am silver 3. OMG, Puddle. You're silver 3. You're going to get to gold and flex. Let's do it. I will take that as yes. Watson, yo, Vember. What's up, Vember? How you doing? Right now I'm coding, and I wanted to do a quick coding stream because I'm contributing to open source software. So what that means is I made this pull request on a repository from Linux server, and they have a collection of things called Docker mods, and I added my own mod here. So I went over this, but basically I created my own mod. And they're reviewing it. They give me some comments. I fixed it. And now I'm making a second mod. That's what I'm doing right now. All right. So in my mod, I'm going to add in this path, right? But I got to do a couple things. I also have to auto load and run component. So the way that that looks is we can do this. I'm just going to copy this line 3 times. And we're just going to put them in each line one by one. All right, so each line has now been added. We don't need the alias. So here we're just echoing this to the standard output. It's like a log. We're logging this. But here, this echo, the first echo is a log. The second echo, because of these 2 characters, writes to this file. So we're writing to this file 1, 2, 3 times. Hydrate. Thank you. Thank you. I do need a hydrate, Rago, so I appreciate that. I also like the sounds. Like, the sounds are nice. Oh, nice. That's really cool. Thank you. Thank you. Smart boo. Thank you, Putto. After this, we're going to go to Costco. We're going to go shopping. I'm nearly done. And once I commit it, I'm going to show you guys how it runs. And it might not work, right? Trial and error. It might fail, but at least I want to get to the step where we're running it on GitHub. GitHub Actions. Okay, so here it says alias already exists. We're going to say shell RB&V shell completions already exist in ZSH. Skipping. Now, if there's no ZSH, we're saying it's not found. Oh, we don't need to do that. We're just going to say if it's not there, we're good. Okay. Oh, no, we still need to do it. Never mind. We do need to do it. It's because we discovered that ZSH is installed. So if it's installed but there's no file, then we make a file. And here's the difference. When you have two, you are appending to this file, but the file must exist. If you have one, you create the file. So why don't we try that? So we have some files here. I'm going to just make a file. Echo Rogos is smart. And then I'm going to try to append it to a file that does not exist. So this doesn't exist, ASDF. Does it work? It does work. If it always works, I almost feel like we should always do it. Oh, I see what's happening though. I see why we have two cases. All right, let's go read ASDF. Rogos is smart, ASDF. Okay, we're gonna remove it now. So now it's gone. But there's two paths, and the reason is, in the first path, the file exists. But then we're also checking if it exists, does it already have the line we need to add? If it doesn't have the line, then we add it. If it does have the line, we skip it. But there's another case where it doesn't exist and we always add it. So having these three branches allows us this case, which is check if it exists. And you can't check it if it exists without having a file to check, or else you're going to error. So let's try it. grep. We're going to grep ASDF in a file that does not exist, and it gives you an error. Because of this error, we need three branches, 1, 2, and 3. So anyways, this branch here is exactly the same as this one. The only difference is the log. So this log says we're going to create one, creating one with the shell completions. But as far as adding the shell completions themselves, they are the same. So I'm just going to put a space here so that it's easier to read. This is a log, and this is actually us adding to the file. All right, that's it. That's the whole thing. Here is our status. We have modified two files. Let's look at the diff. So again, let me show you the normal diff, get diff. So it's kind of hard to organize. You don't know the line numbers. There is syntax highlighting, which is cool, but it also like repeats itself. So you kind of have to be like, what does this mean and this mean? Right? Like parsing it's a little hard. And then we have bat diff. That's the thing I added in my mod, where it's a little cleaner. You have line numbers. You have this minus that tells you that a line has been removed. You have this tilde that tells you a line has been changed. And you have syntax highlighting, which is actually more useful. Let's go back to get diff. This highlights it based on the action in get, right? Removed is red, added is green. When you remove and add, you kind of have to parse this yourself. Bat diff, you could see that tilde means it's been modified, and it maintains the syntax highlighting of the programming language you're looking at, so it's easier to read the code. Take your time. I'm working on show's emote. I like that Rogos is the example text. Yeah. Hi. Yo, 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 Daisy. Daisy. Hi, Vember. Daisy. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, I'm excited for show's emote. We're going to have some cool Washodo emotes coming out. Pado, do you think AI will take over coding? Daisy Pops. My answer to that is no. And I'll tell you why. Because AI is a little not smart. It's a little not smart. And will it get smarter? Yes. Will it get better? I think so. But in my experience, especially even as it's improved, and it has improved by magnitudes. We started running our own AI models over a year ago, like 18 months ago maybe, and it has improved in that year. In that 18 months, and we run it on our own servers. I'll show you an example right now. So if you do Command I, it opens up this thing called continue, and continue will edit selected code. So I don't want to edit anything here, but we can do Command L, and now Command L will chat. So I can say, well, I guess it still says edit. And I can select all of my different models. I have a bunch of different models. Okay. And it detected them already. But one is called DeepSeek Coder. This is the one that I found to be the best, but it's not that great. So this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, hey, just describe what's happening here. So I'm going to show you like a good use case. I think this should work. But basically, we have been doing this for a while, and the reason I'm pointing this out to you is it actually takes me more time when I use coding agents. And I'm not talking about waiting. Like, waiting is fine. I can wait. But it actually makes me slower. And there was a study, a really great study, that showed that engineers get slower when they use it. So anyways, this didn't do what I wanted. It's like editing the code. So let me see if I could just chat with it. How do I just talk to you? Ask anything. Okay, this is chat. Tell me what this is doing. And how do I... Tell me what this is doing. There we go. So it's pretty fast, right? You can see how fast it is. The script is setting up shell completions. If it hasn't already been set up, great. Here's what it does. Great. This is the kind of stuff that I explained. I'm not here to like see where it's wrong, but in my experience, when you actually have an edit code, so this is useful. That's why I'm showing it to you. I think chatting is useful. Mostly right, mostly doesn't hallucinate. But when I edit code, it mostly fails, and it mostly takes me more time than if I just did it myself. All right, let's read what Poto said. Not at all. It's so fucking, yeah, it's not good. Good. You're happy that it's not good. And the answer is to make it less shit. To make it less shit is not more data. I agree with that. I think that we have plateaued. I think there's a plateau. I think fundamentally neural nets and transformers and some of the other little tricks that we're using to make it seem really smart and really, knowledgeable, I think there's a limit. And I also think that it's a misnomer to categorize LLMs, large language models, as like predicting. I think right now, I think a lot of the language around LLMs is to build hype, to justify valuations, like really high, sky high valuations, and to justify investment. So you tell someone, hey, this is intelligent, right? It's called AI, artificial intelligence. This is intelligent. And so people go, wow, that's amazing. But it's not intelligent. It's just knowledge. And the way that you're accessing the knowledge appears, for example, to be non-deterministic. It appears to be like different every time, and like it appears to be very conversational. So it has grammar down really well. I think the structure of the grammar is really good. But it's not predicting. I think people like to say it's predicting, or it's like a autocomplete but better. But even an autocomplete but better prediction, like autocomplete but better is more accurate. Prediction is less accurate because people connotate prediction with forecasting or the future. And so they think AI is the future when you say it predicts. It's not true. And it's actually a lot closer to a search. I think search is the most accurate way to describe it. Autocomplete's also there. But yeah, AI makes me feel hopeless. Daisy, well, we can talk a lot more about that. Especially, I think Puto is really great at talking about this. But I don't think it needs to make you feel hopeless. I think that there's a lot of hype and that there's intrinsic value in being human. And it doesn't make like humans better than AI or whatever. It's not about like who's better, or what's better, or, it's more about everyone has intrinsic value. And the people, like the thing that makes you hopeless is people. And it's people who are making decisions, right? Like deciding to do mass layoffs because of AI becoming more capable. That's a human decision. That's not an AI decision. That's a financial, business, economic decision. That is like, that's a decision that a person's making. So I think being powerless against like people who are controlling all the data and controlling all of the means of production, means of knowledge, means of distribution, I think that can make someone feel hopeless. But even there you have a lot of power as a person, especially as an American. I'm assuming you're American, but I think Americans, we have a lot of power as people, as individuals. More data makes it incrementally better. Yes, I agree. Incrementally, a person improves way faster. I agree with that too. Like we grow exponentially. Ragos, I think I saw a video where someone made an AI that played and learned how to play games. I know they did one for DBD. What's DBD? So you need more humans writing more specific code to match the specific case you need that's good and then have it learn it. I think AI is good at well-defined things. It is not good at ill-defined things. Exactly. And so that's why I use search, right? Prediction doesn't really follow that dynamic. Well-defined versus ill-defined, right? Like, oh, you can, you might say, wow, someone's good at predicting things that have happened before. That's not even true, right? Weather happens all the time and we're still bad at forecasting what the weather will be, because it's, there's this thing called chaos theory, but there's just so many different kinds of variables, and a prediction doesn't follow this well-defined versus ill-defined thing. But you know what does? Search is good at finding things that are organized, and it's bad at finding things that are not organized. And if it's not there, in other words, it doesn't exist in its knowledge base, in the model, in its conceptual model of how things work, then search is actually really, really, really bad at saying, I don't know. So that's why I think LLMs are actually a lot closer to search. And for most problems, by the time you figured out the problem, you've already figured out the solution. Exactly. Once you know what to do, you just go do it. Talking to this AI about it is actually a waste of your time, but it makes you less productive. But here's the thing. They really want you to talk to the AI about it. Why? Because they want to train off of your talking. They want to train off of your thought process. They want to train off of every explicit step you take. And they believe that if they can watch you enough, right? Mass surveillance, they can watch you enough, then they can mimic you. But again, as a human, it's real. Honestly, like, machines don't mimic humans very well. I think machines are good at what machines do. They're not good at being something that they're not. And they've created all these software to analyze your behaviors and your thought process and to just watch every single thing you do. That's why they encourage you to chat, so that they could get your thought process. And that's why they're encouraging you to do certain things. But here's the thing that about us, I've already disabled all of the like surveillance and the analytics in this platform. That's why I use it. And that's why we self-host. This model here, it's self-hosted. So there's no calling home, phoning home. I'm just asking it based off of what it knows. It doesn't go and report that, back to learn from me. Yeah. Okay. That's good. I have more experience with data analytics, and people are saying AI is taking it over. I don't know. The world feels so depressing. Yeah. So Daisy, I think the world does feel depressing, and there's a reason, right? There's a malaise. And I think if you just view it as the world is depressing, why? And then answer that question and do the 5 whys. Like, you keep digging, you're going to find that it's not what people are saying. And I don't think AI is taking over. I think humans are taking over, and they're using AI as a device to do so, as a means to do so, as a reason to do so. AI frees up humans to do more complex things, like ill-defined things. I wouldn't say it takes over. I agree. Of course. So I would prefer that AI does all the repetitive things and that it's good at, which I use it for. And I use it as a search. Like, instead of Googling, I do use this chat thing to ask questions, and it comes up with pretty useful answers. And now even when you Google things, it will tell you pretty useful answers. So I think it's good for search. Understandable. But people do have to fight a little harder to not only get good at doing things that AI can do. True, and I feel like AI is making finding a job a bit harder, but I could be wrong. I read there's more unemployment people than jobs available right now. Yo, ask Watson to tell you about the circular economy and Indeed and ChatGPT. Yes, I will tell you. That reminded me. Feels like I'll never find another job related to my skills and background. I was looking at housekeeping jobs last night. Oh, Daisy, don't despair. Watson, give Daisy some hope. Talk to her about the waves. Yeah, I will give you some hope. Now, Daisy, what are your skills? What is your background? That I think that would help me. Watson, please tell me about the circular economy and Indeed and ChatGPT. You got this, Daisy. Oh, Bazooka Blade, you're there. Thank you for encouraging. DBD is Dead by Daylight. It's an asymmetrical horror game. It uses 4v1 mode and has gotten fairly popular over the years. Oh, thank you for that information, Rogos. Okay. Wow. Okay, I'm catching up to chat. That's like an ABA therapist thinking that if we codify everything we do, an autistic person could mimic a neurotypical human. Yes. Right? I think that neurotypical and autistic, it's like it's just a different way of being, a different way of thinking. I don't think of it as like one's better than the other. There's pros and cons and there's adaptations, but they're different and people can learn. But I don't think AI can learn, right? It can just be, I mean, trained is a good word. This layoff has torn me apart. So many emotions and tears shed. My situation is weird because I live in a rural area and we can't move away. My fiance owns a business here and it does well. So I'm limited to the jobs I can do. I need remote because there's no large corporations here. I work for a Fortune 50 company and it feels like I won't secure that again. I tried hard through college to get that job, internships, a comp sci degree, etc. I just feel lost. Well, Daisy, thank you for sharing. I think that is a very tough situation. And from experience, from seeing people, from watching situations like this play out, from having gone through a couple of bubbles, right? Like knowing that you had a job at a Fortune 50 company, that means you went through the '08, right? Housing bubble. That means you went through the '01.com bubble, right? And that's why Puddle mentioned waves, because there's cycles. And the cycles happen about every 10 years or so. I don't know why, but about every 10 years or so, like the economy, it grows and grows and grows, and then it stops and stops and stops. And like, that is kind of the economic cycle in the world right now. And having seen that, people get laid off all the time, right? But you need to have, and I hope that you can have this, you need to have a critical distance between what happened to you and who you are. What happened to you and the skills you have. What happened to you and the value you bring. What happened to you and the things you're capable of. Those are all different, and there has to be a distance between them. For people who define themselves by what happened to them, for example, I got laid off, so I'm unemployed, so I'm this way and that way, right? It's okay to say, like, look, I don't have a job right now. But I think that saying I am unemployed will often hurt people's psyches, right? Because they attach it to themselves. When actually what happened, it just happened to you. You got laid off. It's an action. You didn't do it. Someone did that to you. Why am I mentioning this critical distance? Because for the people I've seen in the past where they define themselves by the thing that happened to them, they don't recover. Some never recover, or some recover very slowly. And bad things happen all the time. So my hope for you is that you can recover just by creating a distance and understanding what you can control and what you cannot control. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading chat and then I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to poison AI with fanfics. Oh my God, Yogi, what's up? What did I miss? Yeah, Yogi, can you create some AI slop so that AI trains from it and then it just like becomes crazy? Oh, Daisy, I'm so sorry. A career is not a straight path. It winds and turns. That's true for everyone. This is a small setback. I agree with Puddle. Because if things come in waves, if there is a bubble and it pops, and this happens every 10 years or so, then the key to not being the person who defines what happened to them for the rest of their life and sticks to it, but instead being the person who says, this happened to me, and I'm going to use this opening as an opportunity to grow, as an opportunity to learn about myself, to reflect, to rest, to regroup, right? Then when things get better, and bubbles happen not to your own accord, they just happen, right? Like we have an abundance and there's all these jobs and there's all this new stuff happening. When the next cycle comes, then you'll be ready. So that's why I think waves are a good analogy, right? If you're surfing, I don't surf, but you get the idea that when you're surfing, you don't get to control the ocean, right? You can't make waves for yourself. What do? You wait for the wave, and then when the wave's there, you catch it. And so right now you had a wipeout, right? You got wiped out. You're like, oh man, I'm on the beach again. I'm on the shore. I can't get back out there again because there's no opening for me to get back out there. But when there is an opening, and when you do get back out there, then you just have to go at the right time, which you don't control, and hopefully catch the next wave. Okay. I worked 5 years as a data analyst and did some communications work as well, like employee engagement things, weekly newsletters, writing emails for executive leadership. My degree is comp sci, but I chose to go the data analytic route when I graduated. Nice. I think those are great skills, Daisy, and I don't think that AI is going to eliminate that kind of work, right? But this is what I do want to say. Learn to use AI, right? It's a tool. So when the internet came out, people who learned to use it benefited a lot. People who learned how to code web pages, who learned how to do social media, who learned how to use it for research, right? It's a tool. And if this tool's out there and it's supposed to be revolutionary and it's super hyped, that's fine. But understand it for what it is. It's a tool. It's a better search engine. It's a better Google. It can scour its knowledge a little easier and faster than Google, and it can sort of cater it to what you're looking for. But it has its downsides. It hallucinates, it makes things up, it lies to you, it's often wrong and doesn't know it. So if you understand it as a tool and you learn how to use that tool, you'll be in a better position. And this is your chance, right? This is your opening to work on yourself for that. And the hope is you have enough time to do so. Thank you. I needed this therapy session. Yeah. I like fanfics. For shizzle, starting with adapting. Can I throw a random therapy question? Of course, Yogi. You can always throw me a random therapy question. You are so right. It lies to you. It messes things up. So you're saying love is AI? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to drink. I talked a lot. I'm going to drink my cocoa. I don't know if you got ASMR of that. You guys are like magical fairies that heal my soul. I'm so glad, Daisy. Love is AI. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad I can contribute to the healing of that. It's unfortunate what happened to you, but I do think you'll have an opportunity when the openings come. And then to understand, it's not the tool that did it, right? It's the people. It's people who made these decisions. Like you mentioned writing newsletters for executives. It's executives who make these decisions. And my goal, I think Pato's goal is along with this. I want to be in the position to make decisions like this, and I want to be able to make the right decision by people. That's my hope. So hopefully we can live by that. All right. People suck. Yeah. Some people do. Some people do. I'm looking forward to 2026. 2025 was a bad, tough year. I think next year will be better. Now, the fact that you're in a rural area and you can't really move, that makes sense. But hopefully you can find something remote, or you can, do your best to retool, to learn new skills while you have this time. Yeah. I'm going to do my best to teach, to show. All right, so we're doing this open source code right now. This looks right, and here's my git diff. It looks right, so why don't we do this? We're going to commit this. So create a Docker mod to add RBENV to code server. And I'm just going to grab it from the README here. Paste that in. And then I'm also going to say it includes the shell completions. Okay. Hold on. There. Correct. I didn't copy the T. All right, so we save that, and we're going to push this. And this is where the magic happens. So this is where I'm going to start wrapping up my stream, because this is where the magic happens. So I push this. So let's go to my repository. And we could see that I pushed it 13 seconds ago. Great. So it's already been uploaded. And we could go to actions. So in actions, it's running. Let's get there before it finishes. It's running the workflow. And you could see that it's running on their virtual machine. And it's actually, oh, interesting. Yeah, it already finished. That was pretty fast, actually. It's green. I didn't expect it to be green. Create a Docker mode to add to code server. Oh, I said mode? Gosh. Let's fix that. That's not a mode. And I'm hearing noise. Oh my God, Yogi. Thank you for the sub. You've been subscribed for 2 months. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, ads. Sorry, Mr. Bezos-san. He gave you ads, but thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. What's your therapy question, Yogi? What's your therapy question? Let me see. Did I miss any chats? Yes. Woohoo! Let me know your therapy question. I'm going to change my message. So I said create a Docker mod. There we go. So we got to push it again. This time we're going to force push it because I made an amendment. Okay. So this is cool. Let's see. There we go. Mod. And now we get to watch it run. It runs fast, apparently, but let's see. Boom, boom, boom. It's running. It's basically done. That was super fast. Okay. There we go. It's done. And now I can go to my Docker Hub. And let's look. Do I have another mod? Oh, man. I like put it to the same thing. I'm not sure it should go to the same thing. Mods. I'll figure that out later. But basically, it got published to the same place as my other mod. And maybe I have to have like, oh, look, I have multiple mods here now. Instead of just saying bat. And that's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole mod. Thank you guys for coming to the stream with me. I made a mod. I didn't think on the first time it would be green, but it is. And what I'm gonna test it, right? And maybe I'll find a bug and we'll fix it, but at least it ran the workflow properly and it was able to publish my mod to Docker Hub. So that's actually a really great sign. And it's pretty quick. So now my question is, do I want to install like the latest version of Ruby or something during the mod while the mod's running? That might be an interesting use case to basically be saying like, look, install like the latest version, whatever that is, automatically. Because that does take time and it'd be nice maybe to have it. But maybe all I need is just RBENV. And again, this is not something that can be automatically installed through the package because of this message right here. That's why this using a mod is actually a good solution because of this warning right here. If this didn't exist and the repositories were not out of date, then you would just use this line of code and you wouldn't need a mod. But because it's out of date and you have to do it manually like this is perfect for a mod. All right, let me go read again. Let's catch up. Okay. So since we're catching up, let's do this. Load up my webpage. SomeWatson.com. This is my nice little cute webpage. You guys get to look at my webpage while I read chat, because we have a couple chats. How long have you guys been together? Oh, Daisy. We've been together, yes, 10 years? Close, 11. Exactly. That's how long we've been together. So it's been a long time. Since we first started dating, we knew, well, almost nearly when we met. After I broke up with my ex, I knew that Pato and I wanted to make a company and work on something together. And shortly after that, we knew that we wanted to be in a relationship. Once we were in a relationship, we knew that we were going to get married. So there's just a bunch of stuff that we figured out quite early on. We shared a lot of values, common values, and goals. And the number one thing that I recognized pretty early was that we also had great conflict resolution. And we worked through a bunch of things. Conflict is inevitable, right? It's always going to happen with everyone in different situations. But the key to conflict is accepting that it happens and then figuring out what are the rules, what are the boundaries, what are the ways that we can agree to resolve our conflict. So that was also a key. It was the values, it was our goals, and the last one was our conflict resolution. I think those three things are key ingredients to why we've been together for so long. But those are just side effects. The real reason is we're in love. We're in love, you guys. Oh, you want to see about how we're in love? Let's see. Right here. We're in love. Okay, let's go back to chat. My redemption rumble build hit plat. Whoa, Bazooka. GG. Good job with that. Bazooka, have you ever thought of publishing your builds on those websites? I think it's called Mobifier or something like that, where you can publish your builds and gain notoriety for it. Or do you make YouTube videos, content describing your builds? I think that might be an interesting next step for you. All right, Yogi. A person realizes that they've been prideful, stubborn, and arrogant because they believed they'd earned the right through everything they had achieved. But when they look at their family, they see everything they truly are reflected in them. Now they understand that who they are didn't come from their own achievements, and that realization leaves them feeling invalidated. Great job. Is it the freaky mod? 10 years, close, 11. 6 years. Bazooka. Pato already said it. The achievements aren't invalidated just because the person didn't do it on his own. Only the pride. But with grace, he could extend that pride to his own family too. Yay. You guys compliment each other very well. Love. Thank you, Daisy. Yeah, I think we do compliment each other very well. And I feel very fortunate about that. And I'm very appreciative of Pato. Now, Yogi, I agree with Pato. The achievements don't get invalidated. I think it's important to recognize that everyone has had help. I think that's where I start. I start with I've received help. Every achievement I've made, yes, it's mine, but also I had help. And so how do I sort of reconcile that with the fact that I have agency? I say, look, every achievement I've done, I've had help to get here, and I need to be able to recognize that. So every chance I get, I like to say, hey, Pato helped me do this, or my family helped me do this, or my mentors, my bosses, my friends helped me do this, get to this place. I always try my best to acknowledge that. But then the other thing on the flip side is I like to say, well, my way of acknowledging this the most is to pay it forward. And I recognize that as someone who has helped other people, Like, I don't really want people to pay me back. I don't think of things that way. Like, hey, I gave you a ride, so next time, can you give me a ride? Like, that's not really what I want. I don't give people rides so I can get a ride back, or I don't buy people dinner so that they can buy me dinner back. Although I like to leave an opportunity for people to express their gratitude by reciprocating. But the best way to express gratitude is to pay it forward. And that's what people have said to me who have helped me. You know, every I can look at like so many steps along the way where people have helped me and Pado. And then when we ask them like, "Hey, thank you," and we try to express gratitude, the next thing they say is, "Okay, well, can you help this other person?" Right? Can you do this for someone else? And that's really, I think, the best way to operate. Um, so, addressing your question, Yogi, when they look at their family, they see everything they are truly reflected in them, and they understand who they are didn't come from their own achievements. Yes, but again, you don't need to be invalidated understanding all of the gifts that you've received, right? So that's why I want to point it out. They're gifts. And the best way to repay a gift is to give. Not give back to the person who gave you the gift, right? You're just going in circles. Not to repay them or to pay for the gift. You know, one of the things that irked me um, before was um, if I buy someone dinner and they go, "Here's $20 or $30 or whatever it costs," and I'm like, "I don't want your $30. I'm buying you dinner." "Oh, well, I don't want to owe you." "Okay, you don't owe me. I'm just buying you dinner." "Well, I feel bad if I owe people." I'm literally trying to do something nice for you. And I'm not doing something nice for you because you need it, because this is charity. I'm doing something nice for you because I'm doing something nice for you. It makes me feel good to do something nice for other people, right? So I think that the way to not be invalidated is to be able to receive gifts and to understand that even before you are capable of acknowledging a gift, reciprocating a gift, saying thank you for a gift, you had received gifts. I think that's the key. And to know that most of the gifts, many of the gifts, came from your parents, came from your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. Like, it came from family, most of your gifts. And for me, I look at my grandma on my mom's side as like someone who gave me a lot of gifts. And these are not just like money, no, or monetary things or tangible things. I'm literally meaning like gave me a big heart to help people, or gave me goals to aspire to and dreams to have, right? And one of the things she did, I shared this with Vember before and Omega, and obviously Puddle knows this, but I shared this with Vember and Omega when they came down for TwitchCon. But basically, she would do this thing where she would look at all of her grandchildren and she would say inspiring things to them. She would take them aside and she would be like, "You are really funny and you bring joy to people." Or she would say, "You are really smart and you use your knowledge to help people." Like, she would do those things for everyone. All of my cousins, we all got this gift and we all felt super special, but she did it for everyone. And that's one of the things that I inherited from her. I made the best builds into videos. I don't want to give bad builds out that will do poorly. Well, Bazooka, you don't have to give bad builds. You can say it's like a troll build or like experimental build, or use at your own risk. But I'd be curious to see more build videos, because I think that's one of your strengths, Bazooka, which is limit testing, like finding the boundaries of builds, finding where builds, like builds no one thought could work, would work. And I think that's a really interesting skill you have. So if you sort of put yourself out there as the guy who breaks builds, right? Like Raito hates Bazooka Blade because he's always breaking builds and they're constantly making patches in response to the things he does. Like, I think that's an interesting place to put yourself. Yo, I gotta hydrate. I really do need to hydrate. Okay, I've been talking a lot. Let me hydrate and I'm gonna wrap up stream in a couple of minutes. Daisy, you could start your own radio talk show. Be the next Delilah show. Oh, I don't know what the Delilah show is, but I appreciate the compliment. So cute, boo. Your mileage may vary. Build. You've been talking for like 40 minutes. Figured you needed water. Yes, exactly, Ragos. I do need water. Okay, thank you guys for stopping by, watching me code, hearing me yap. Let me see if there's anyone to raid. Let me check out who I can raid. Okay. I probably want to play some League, so I'm going to raid our friend 2A. I finished Show's emote. Took exactly 2 hours. Let's go. Nice. Oh, that's perfect. I finished my mod. You finish your emote. Oh, perfect. Skill cap on Redemption, I think, is a little too high for the average player. Yeah, that might be true, Bazooka. So I would love to see like shorts of this build failing miserably. I would love to see shorts where it actually works and you can see like where the skill comes into play. I would love to see an explanation of it from you, from your perspective. Those are things I'd love to see. I think those are your strengths. Okay, we're gonna raid 2A. 2A. LOL. Let me double check the spelling. All right, guys, I'll see you on the other side. Pato and I are probably gonna go shopping soon, but I need a nice little break from coding, and that is, as always, League of Legends. All right, see you guys later. Bye bye.